with Global.Media.com. Every step forward is a new beat to your drum. Achieve success with Global.Media.com. Let's celebrate it with or without champagne or rum.
Paulette is back. Look at her. How are you doing, Paulette?
Yeah, not too bad. Not too bad, thank you.
Welcome back.
Still,
We have
still
missed you,
weak,
Paulette.
but better than I was. Yeah,
Yeah. So
a
are
lot
you back
better than I
to full
was.
health, or are you still recovering?
No, about 65%, I think. But 6 weeks was enough. I thought you needed me back, coming back to haunt you.
We did. No, we really we really do. The world's not the same without you, Paulette.
Certainly
so
quieter.
I'm glad you're back, and I'm sure at least will be glad you're back too. For a metamorphosis room later on. So yeah, I think it's good having your genius and your Paulette's kindness in our world. Imagine a world without all that, right? A world of just me. Oh, my friends, you don't want that to happen. We need Paulette, right?
You're not mean.
Anyway,
You're not mean.
welcome back. Let me
That's
see who's
just
in the
your
comments.
pretend voice.
Of course. Now, as usual, if you're here, my friend, drop us a comment so we'll know you're here otherwise. I can see Sharon is here. Welcome, Sharon. Welcome back, she says. Is that me? Oh, that's me. Okay. I don't know how I did that. I do know how I did that, just about.
Oh, welcome back. Thank you, Annie.
Michelle P, where are you? I thought you meant to be in
Yeah.
the studio. I'm glad you're here. Welcome, Michelle. Carrie, thanks for joining us. How do you make an egg roll?
Good one
We should
today.
Yes, I quite like that one. Yeah, it's
I
simple
like
but
that
fun.
one today. I told him.
Hello, Jay. How you doing? So I said hello. I miss you, my dear friend Paulette.
Oh,
Annie, yeah, that's me. All right. I can take it, Jay. I'm not a star. Paulette's always a star, right? Sharon Rose, thanks for joining us. Peace and blessings to all. Welcome back, Paulette. Miss your genius. I agree. I totally agree.
thank you.
I'm so glad you're back. It says, hello, Sharon. And Leslie Davis, welcome. Glad to have you here. Say greetings. Hello, Annie, as he is anywhere. Oh, that's me, right? That's very funny, Carrie. Very funny. So Michelle trying to figure out how to get into the studio. I sent you the link to your DM, Michelle. Otherwise, and to everyone, you're most welcome to join us in the studio if you want to come and share some of your thoughts on our topic. The link is in the comments on the event page. If you want me to send you the link, just let me know. I'll send the link to you to your DM. So now we're going for an hour today, all right? For Alex, just to keep you not too overworked.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's aim for an hour. Let's try to keep it tight. Yeah.
Yep.
Michelle says I can't get into my LinkedIn account. Why not, Michelle? Okay. Well, that's the other way, Michelle. Go through your WhatsApp. I sent you the link there as well. Of course, my YouTube friends, please do the right thing today. Like, comment, subscribe if you haven't done so yet. If you want to engage with your content.
When I was lying in bed, Annie. When I was lying in bed, I did some reading. I didn't watch it all, but I just pressed play.
Yeah.
So I watched some of your stuff, like you said.
Thank you. That's what you gotta do for it. Now you ain't gotta watch it. Indeed. Now you ain't gotta sit there looking at it. Just press play.
That's too tired.
Leave your phone.
If I just press play,
behind. Yeah.
Come back in a couple of hours. Press play again.
Yeah, exactly that. When you finish it, just start again. Press another one. It's a good thing, right? Thank you so much for that.
I felt like I was doing a good thing.
You always do. That's a really good thing. If anyone's ever got time, please do go to my YouTube and watch some videos. If you want to share it with your friends, Paul, that's the next step. Share it with your friends, and I always need more subscribers, right? Michelle,
Okay, I'll
Michelle,
do
I
that.
see you in the studio, Michelle, but you haven't turned on your microphone or your camera. So you have to turn at least one on, and then you say, turn your microphone and camera on. And then when I bring you on stage, you can turn your camera off. Otherwise, I can't bring you on stage to speak. So Carrie says, watching on my other computer, I just fixed it, and it's a Dell laptop running Windows. And the other Dell's 15 years old, and laptop's only 66 years old. 15 years old, now that's pretty good going, Carrie. That's good going, right? But you are a tech
It's an
wizard, so
antique.
don't be like that, Paulette.
That's good.
How?
It's a good thing.
Yeah. How's that one? So that one, I think, is 2016. So going on 9 years old. And it's worked quite well. It's a Lenovo. It's worked quite well. Let's say I have no problem with it. I can't work with it, I gotta say,
Oh,
because it's
I
not.
used to buy those from Aldi.
I didn't buy it from Aldi. No,
Well,
maybe
I would
Currys.
like to say thank you, everybody, for coming.
Yes, yes. Let's start the show properly,
Thank you,
Paulette.
thank you, thank you.
Of course, I will show a
Okay,
couple of
let's do it.
videos.
So you start off by telling us who you are.
Oh, I'm still any old song, Paulette. I haven't changed. So I'm still me, and I still dream of publishing more books. Of course. So have I published a few since you've been away? Yes, and I think I probably had two book launches. Without you being here, I know of course you've been here in spirit and also in buying. So it's not Coach David's launch and Sandra's launch. So
Ways.
and I said, I'm still publishing books. I still want more author books to publish, and more authors make bestsellers. That's what I work for every day. That's what I dream about. So that's me. So I'm
my
letting this
my
go.
dream is to sell 100,000.
Go on, tell us all about it.
We're going to sell 100,000. That's the plan. We're either going to sell or give away 100,000 books. That's the dream. So anyone that can help me on my journey, yes, please. And for every book that is purchased, another book goes to charity. So it either goes in the UK to Comfort Cases, which is the charity that works with the kids that are going into care or moving around the care system, or in certainly in America, we've got a few charities we're working with, but predominantly it's through Connect Impact Hub for the homeless. But I've also worked with a few other charities who have asked for books for children who are coming from low-income families who would otherwise not be able to afford them, but could do with the emotional support that the Jack and Water books bring. And so it's been very important. And that was beautifully written about. Aaron Wheatley did a post yesterday, which I circulated, and all the families of the children approved that they could be seen on my video or that picture. And it was beautiful to see them all sitting there reading their books, and then they swap them so they all get to read all three, which I think is lovely. And they're putting their name and a date of when they read the book, and then the books are going into the library, and then the next lot of children can read them, which I thought was a beautiful way to get to maximize the use. So today I really, I want to start off saying I've looked a very scary place in the eye in the last few weeks, and being here is one of the dreams that I had. Selling 100,000 books, or giving away 100,000 books was another. And being so critically ill was really kind of a good time to sit and think. And when you have time to think, when you're not allowed to do anything, actually it's one of the best times to give a sort of a bit of a spring clean of the mind, and to get rid of the stuff that doesn't do you any serve in your life, but to also make sure that the things that do serve you, you can use. And I think it's really important now for me to say to everybody in the room, take half an hour to just spring clean your mind and just let go of the stuff that doesn't serve you, and focus on that that's really important and will bring you and those around you joy and abundance and love and kindness and the important things in life, not the negative, toxic things that we all focus on and let drag us down. Yeah, we're living in a really strange world right now. I mean, really strange world. Every time I put the news on, it's stranger by the day. But I don't want to focus on that, because I think that's not going to help us with our spring cleaning. That's just going to be adding weight to the negative stuff. So if we were to say to ourselves, let's spring clean our minds and focus on the things we can actually change, and ignore those and put them to one side, those that we can't. And, the way that I always teach kids and children is that you all carry an imaginary rucksack. And when you carry an imaginary rucksack, I want you to imagine that it starts off empty, and that's great. And that doesn't weigh very much, and you can walk around with that quite happily. Can you imagine starting to add all these worries, the things that are bothering you right now, things that are going on perhaps in different countries, things that are going on in your own country, things that are happening with the stock market, things that are happening with pensions, blah, 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 and blah. And we can just keep adding the worries into our rucksacks until they're so damn heavy we can barely walk. And then we wonder why we feel so heavy and low and incapable of doing anything. And that's because that layer of pressure is so hard, and you can't see past it. It becomes the sort of the new normal. My new normal is every morning I put on this rucksack and I carry around with me, I don't know, let's say 60 pounds of bricks of worry. Could you imagine what it feels like when you do take it off and you put it to one side and you say, enough, I'm done with that. I don't want it. I don't need it. And it doesn't serve me any purpose, and it isn't going to help me. Now, that is what I try to teach children, but I need to teach it to adults too, because we're all very good at picking up on this worry, this weight that's hanging over us, and we put it in our rucksack and we carry it around, and then we're tired, we're exhausted because of the weight is so heavy. We can't focus properly, we can't think properly, we can't answer a question without sniping and at each other. And that's when you suddenly realize this weight that you carry affects every single part of your life. So imagine taking that off, and the breath that can suddenly come through in your lungs. Believe me, I know a bit about breathing now. It's quite important, it turns out. That's not really much of a joke, but anyway, yeah, breathing is very important. So imagine giving out that breath of fresh air as you take the rucksack off, and then someone comes over and asks you a question, and instead of being snappy, you've got the energy to answer the question. And somebody says, would you help me with this bit of homework? And you're like, yeah, give me 5 minutes to just do this. Just want to go to the loo, then I'll come back, put the dinner on, then I'll come and help you with the project. You can do all those things because you've taken that rucksack of worries off. And if you don't put them back on again, you leave them at the door. You don't want them. They don't serve you any purpose except to weigh you down. So if you imagine that rucksack of worries as an adult, you might not think children have a rucksack of worries. Trust me, I had maybe 25, 30 children in a room, age from 5 to 9. And I had been saving all my Amazon and other boxes, and I wrapped them all up in black paper, and we wrote worry big worry, little worry. There was little tiny parcels like this big, like toilet roll holders wrapped up in black paper, but one small worry. And we enacted a story of somebody's worries, and this particular child was saying that they'd got quite a few problems at the moment. And I said, well, you don't have to talk about them in the room if you don't want to. We can talk about them separately. And he's like, no, it's okay. He said, I would really like a new switch. That's a big worry, isn't it? And I sort of said, not really. But if it is to you, maybe having a switch. He said, well, if I have a switch, then all me because I've got the latest switch, not the old switch. And I was like, but if it works, does it matter? And he was like, not really. So I said, so can we downgrade the big box to perhaps a small box? And he was like, yeah, okay. So he put a toilet roll holder in the bag of worries. And when I sat down, he was quite happy that actually the big worry was that he really wanted this switch to be the same as his friends, but it didn't really matter. And if his parents had given him very good reasons as to why he couldn't have it, and certainly not till Christmas or a birthday or when all the family would contribute, then maybe that was a better thing to think about. So he sort of put that to one side and decided that actually that was the biggest worry, and now it wasn't such a big worry. So he downgraded it. Now that's what I mean about having a kind of clear out, right? And we escalate things in our minds as adults. We have a small problem, and then the second day it's a bigger problem, and the third day it's a really big problem, and the fourth day it's a massive problem. And by the time you actually air the problem, it was all over the fact that he didn't take out the bins, so you missed the bin man, and blah 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 blah. And it's like, did the world implode? No. Can I take it to the dump at the weekend? Yes. Well, does that resolve the problem? Yes. Right. Can we downgrade the worry now? So it's just silly things that we go bang, bang, and we escalate it up and up and up and up. And we don't realize, but when you have a worry that is bothering you, it's like on a loop, like you hear music over and over and over again. The same thing happens with worries. They go round and round and round in circles. And what happens is they can gather momentum, and they can also gather other little worries around them to make it so that they're even more of an issue. And when you actually break them down, the same issue is not that big. It was just something that you allowed to gather that momentum, which we don't want to do. We really don't want to do. The next thing I would say about this rucksack of worries, and a great way of doing it is with kids, is to get them to imagine they had one, and say, what's your biggest worry today? What's the one thing that's worrying you today? And it might be exams, it might be tests, end of year tests, it might be one of so many things. The fact house. It might be the fact that we've talked before about moving house or changing schools. These are like huge. I mean, they talk about the top 3 things. I hold up 2 fingers, but I meant 3, top 3 things that they talk about as being so stressful for adults are changing their job, moving house, and marital issues. Do you not think that they would be in amongst the top 3 for children too? Because if there are marital issues, trust me, the kids know. When you think they're not listening, they're listening. And when you think they are only giving you 10%, they're actually reading or watching telly or something. They're tuned in. They're listening to every single word, okay? And they sit on the stairs and they listen. And when you're shouting at each other, they're listening. And you know what? When you shout at each other, and then it all kind of calms down and you say sorry, and maybe you even give each other a kiss, and then one kiss leads to a second kiss, and before you know it, you're sort of, dare I say, making up as well as making out, and putting a lot of that stuff that needed to be said is already fixed and gone away, because love conquers all, right? The kids don't hear that bit. They went to bed when you were shouting and hollering. They don't understand when mum and dad are happily making breakfast in the morning and dad smacks mum's bum and doesn't get told off and whatever, right? Because suddenly there's that closeness there that was lacking and missing, and the kids think they're getting divorced, and they're going into this completely different rucksack of worries to the reality. So it's really, really important that just sometimes we say to kids, do you know what, mum and dad do argue? It happens. Every parent does. If they say they don't, they're fibbing. Okay? But you cannot call it arguing. You can call it having a tiff. It's another great expression. Or to demean it and make it smaller, you can say it was just a minor disagreement like you have with your friends, right? But at the end of the day, what they hear is a full-blown, you did this and I did that, and da, 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 da. They're thinking divorce and who's living with who, and it's, they just take it in their minds all the way up, all the steps. And so in the same way that you've made up downstairs, upstairs, they're lying in bed thinking the worst. So sometimes it's really good to say, I hope you didn't hear mum and dad arguing last night. It got a bit heated, I'm afraid. We had a few things to get off our chests, but it all got sorted. Everything's fine. And we just want you to know we love you and everything is good. And then all of a sudden, the kids are going to go, I thought this and I thought that, and So it's very important that what they hear, what they see, doesn't mess up their heads, because it will, and they'll be putting big old worries in their rucksacks. Okay. Another one that I really wanted to talk about was, we always talk about the fright, fright, freeze, flight, freeze, fright, and the fight. I'm going to get this right someday. Fright and fleas. Fleas? You have fleas as well? Fright and fleas. There we are. That's a new one. I've made it up. Fight, flight, and freeze. So when a child isn't in control of their emotions, they could get the nickname as a scrapper. So that means that every way they handle every situation is punch up, right? That's the fight. And they don't know that that's wrong. That's the only way they know. That's the child that you can take to one side and explain that there are other ways of dealing with things than the fighting. Now, that could be that that's the only way it's dealt with in their family. And it could be that it's a hitty family, and it's quite difficult when it is a hitty family to try and explain that it's wrong and it's not what we do at school and it's not what is acceptable outside in the world. So we have to change our behavior to fit in with the world. Now, if they say, well, dad hits mum and mum hits dad, and, we all get hit and we all hit each other, and it's like, that's not the way we resolve it here. That might be the way you resolve it there, but it's not how we resolve it here. And when you have that sort of like battle, it can be quite difficult, but it's one that has to be had, because people have to live in society. Society says fighting isn't the answer. Flight. Now, I have to admit I'm guilty of flight. First sign of trouble, I used to hide. I'd be under the stairs. I'd be in the bedroom, in the wardrobe, on the floor. I used to just be scared. I was scared of the family setup. It was a very, very, very difficult home situation. And so I used to find myself always hiding. I don't like raised voices even now. Even now, if we're out and suddenly we hear a lot of raised voices, I tend to find myself grabbing onto Charles and feeling very like anxious and meerkat, neck head up, looking around. I'm aware there's trouble somewhere, and that goes back to having that horrible shouty childhood, and that has affected me even to grown up. I still can't cope with people shouting, and if anybody speaks to me in a raised voice, they get told, please stop speaking to me in a raised voice, please. By all means, tell me you're not happy, but you don't need to raise your voice. There is no need for it. And there really shouldn't be. We should be able to just speak on civil terms with each other. Even if we've really upset each other at some point, there should be a place where you can meet and have that middle ground. Not always, but I believe in most times that can be the case. Freeze is completely normal. It's the reaction that we have in our dreams. When we have our dreams and we're having a dream, and in that dream, for some reason I wanted to put my head down and pretend I'm sleeping, but you know what dreaming means. I don't have to do that. But when we're dreaming, we often find ourselves waking up. Oh, okay. The monster didn't get me, or the bad guy didn't hit me, or the whatever didn't happen, or the person who was chasing me didn't catch me. It's that freeze is exactly the same thing that goes on in your subconscious mind, in your sort of dreamy mind, as what happens in the real world when you are faced with a situation where you have to deal with something. So somebody gets stabbed in front of you. Do you ignore it and go, I can't do anything, he's going to bleed to death, but that's okay because I can't? Or do you drop to your knees and then have a knife put to your face, as what happened to me? Would I do it again? I don't think so. I always seem to be the one that faces these situations. A baby screaming, a mother screaming because her baby's lying limp with its eyes rolled backwards and the skin color is turning a horrible grey. And I get to her and she says she's choked on a what's it. And I said, have you tried smacking her back? And she said it didn't work. So I put her over my arm and I used the part of my hand into the back of the baby. She was 6 months old. Nothing. Just limp. And I thought, oh my God, it's dead. And then I thought, right, one more chance. And I really smacked it. And I thought, I'm going to have broken a rib. And then she went and covered me from head to foot, eyelashes, the lot, in orange yuck, what's it stuff. But she then smiled at me. I mean, of all the things to do, she then smiled at me, these beautiful eyes, beautiful face, smiled at me. I was like crying, happy crying, smiling crying because her back might hurt a little bit, but you know what? She's quite grateful for the blockage to be unblocked. And would you do it again? These are the things that you say, no, I wouldn't do it again. But you know what? In the circumstances, I probably would. But if somebody else was racing over there, I'd probably let them because I think I've done my bit as being a hero. But as a first aider, you're taught to help. And so you naturally want to help. So when I think about my rucksack of worries, I've got stuff in there that goes back to childhood that I have to just go, you're not serving me, you're not doing me any good. Get out. Make some room for some. It's like having a clear out your wardrobe. Get rid of all the stuff you don't wear and replace it with things that you fancy, you like, if you can afford it. And if not, just find the new things that you didn't know you had in the wardrobe or the things you haven't seen for a long time. So it's no different in the mind doing exactly that, a spring clean. And what I would say to children is exactly the same thing. You've got anxieties and you've got worries. Now, you were really worried about starting that new school, weren't you? And now, look, you've had your first term. How do you feel? I love it. I love it. I'm really glad we moved. I've got all these new friends and it's great. And you can say, well, you know, all those worries you had about the new school. And they say, yeah, take them out of that rucksack of worries because you don't need to carry them around anymore. They'll be like, you're right, Mum, I don't, thanks. Or you're right, Dad, thanks, I don't. And what about moving home? Do you remember when you were really stressed, but you didn't want to move home and you really didn't want to come here and you really didn't want to? And they say, yeah, I remember that. It was terrible. I hated the idea of leaving my old house. And then what happened? Well, we moved. And then what happened? Well, I didn't like it at first. And then you gave me water in Jack's case, but in other children's case, they would have got the book, hopefully. And what happens is you have got a child that is suddenly going, actually, I'm not worried about my house anymore. I love my house. Should we get rid of all those worries about the house then? Yeah, let's do that. So children too carry that weight. And, you know, as I said, I did the exercise with kids from 5 to 9. And we played sometimes with real Jengas. We'd put 2 or 3 Jengas in the back, and the littlies would almost be turning upside down with the weight of the bag, you know. And the bigger ones would be like, I could take another worry, put another one in, you know. And I'd put like 4 bricks in one go, and they'd be like, oh no, too heavy. And I'd be like, that's what bad worries feel like, you know. And I think that if we just think about anxiety as worries and how those worries play with our children's heads, and what we need to do is make everything as downplayed as it can be, you know. I mean, I've got a 22-year-old in September who's doing his he's doing his science dissertation at the moment, and it's horrible. And he's been quite horrible, not nasty to us, but nasty to the thing. And when that thing is over, I said to him, you'll be so grateful. He said, I will be walking around 3 stone lighter. So even he remembers the rucksack of worries. He knows that's in his bag at the moment and it's got to be done. He knows when it's done, it's going to feel better and lighter. That is what we're talking about here. Teaching from such a young age, Ben's known about this rucksack of worries all the way up to now. He's telling me he'll be 3 stone lighter when he's got rid of that dissertation. So please, you know, don't think that I'm demeaning or putting down worries, but I really want you to understand the why. And when a child can explain to you and tell you, give them that time to listen, because we sometimes don't have the time. And I became, you know, the best auntie in the world. I never had children when I was younger, and my brother did. So his children became mine. He didn't really know it, but I was kind of muscling my way in. And Jack of Jack and Water is my nephew, who told me about being bullied on the bus, and he'd never told his dad or his mum because they were too busy. So sometimes you just have to understand that we need to make that time to just talk to them about the rucksack of worries. Give them the option of emptying it out, feeling good about themselves. It's an amazing tool, and it's a very good way of understanding anxieties. Now, I think I've talked for long enough. Just before we go, I must just do this because otherwise I won't ever sell my 100,000. We talked about, let me see if I can do this because I'm not great with the camera, you know that. Hang on, technical issue. Where do we go? Hold it up there, hold it down there. Where do I hold it? in front of my face. There we go. There we go.
Yeah, in
Where
front
my
of you.
face was.
Slant it a bit. It might have a better chance. I have no idea. Yeah, well, we'll see for a second.
I nearly had it. A minute.
I know.
Where's my
I know.
face? If I move my face over no, it's not working. Okay. Well, anyway, I'm just gonna wave it around and hope you get a bit of it. Get
You
a
do that,
glimpse.
and I'll do
There
the
we go.
same.
New School Niggles. There we are. Jack and Water, New School Niggles. We'll show you at the end. But you've got the New House Nerves book. Can you? Where do I don't know where I have to hang it. Don't seem to like me at all. Where's my face?
He likes it.
No, it's not having it. Where's the camera? Where's the camera on a Mac, anyone?
Is it background that's
Oh,
doing
I
it? The
don't know.
camera's on
Anyway,
top of your screen.
we've got three books
Yeah.
out at the moment in the series. We've got New House, New School, and we've got a bereavement story. And they are all, I promise you, they're all beautiful, beautiful stories. And they each of them tell us, oh, that's it. Annie, can you show me how? Show me your wisdom. There we are.
Jay is my background. Yeah, so you can see yours now. So there you go. You know, and they can see.
And every one of them, I'm told, has done amazing things for people. So if you'd like to buy them, and don't forget, every book that is sold, another book is going to turn up either with a child in care, either children's charities in the States, or it will be going into children, homeless children that are living on the streets or in cars or whatever. Martha's doing an amazing job there. Right, I'm done. I'm going to be quiet for a minute. Over to whoever would like to speak next.
And only for a minute. Look, and I will say this. And I say, I was, in a masterclass with Michael last night, and yes, of course, we all want to succeed. And I think our work pressures, money pressures, is always part of our biggest issues, our biggest worries as adults. Because one thing I learned, which is what you're saying, Paulette, it doesn't hurt to be nice. It doesn't hurt to be a decent person. It doesn't hurt to just do the right thing to help others to feel better. Yeah, I think that's something that we can all do.
Always.
It costs us nothing to smile. Some days I have my moments, but I tried better today. That's my point, right? You get DMs and some people are just annoying. Today I just figured, okay, let me go back to being my nice self. Let me not bite at them, like you said. Snap and literally, why are you messaging me, idiot? But I didn't say that. So I was a lot more polite today, and I'll try and keep that going, Paulette, because there's no need to be always angry at people who want to be annoying. There's almost no point gracing them with my energy, and my annoyance. But I think these are simple things that we can do, and it matters to the kids around us as well. They do see when our mood suddenly change, and I think we can do what to be more stable, just nicer. It's nicer, full stop. Let's do some of the comments, and we'll come to Michael. Liana, welcome. Glad to see you, of course. The Sharon Rose, love you so much, beautiful soul, Paulette. That's you. That's you, Paulette, not me, right? Lisa the genius. She doesn't want me calling her Dr. Lisa anymore, so I still call her Dr. Lisa when I feel like it. But she said she'll accept Lisa the genius. Yeah, so very happy to see my sis Paulette Hallam back. You've made my week. Yeah, she'll make it week even more when she joins the show later on, right? When she joins Metamorphosis. I worked out who LinkedIn user was earlier. Can I see who it is now? I'm sure I can. Let me see. Oh, Katie. Yeah, Katie. Welcome. I'm so glad you're here, Katie. Of course, Miss Ugochukwu, I see you as well. So I will put as many as I can on screen. So Peter, now our muscle man, glad you're here. Joni, you're in the studio, so I'll leave that to you. Poppy Poo, yeah, that's always done out of love, right? So Michelle says, I can't turn on the camera or the mic. Have no idea what happened. Can't even hear you. Oh, Michelle. Michelle. So what can I say? So that's Katie again. So Dr. Melissa Houston says, hello. Welcome, welcome. Dr. CJ is here as well. Thank you so much for joining
Oh,
us.
hi everyone. Thank you for coming.
They're all glad to see you. Cyrus, no, Jade Adventure. Okay. So Jay, give me a second. I'll bring you on. I'll bring you on stage now. CJ, glad you're here. CJ is doing her next 50 inspirational connections for 2025 as we speak. So do connect with her and do. You can nominate yourself or nominate someone who you think should be in the 50 inspirational connections. And Paulette and I were part of it last year, right? So it's always worth doing. Say it's a good way to appreciate the good things people are doing. Whose mic is that? Let me mute you for a second, Jay. So Sharon says it's really real. 90% of kids in school in Uganda have anxiety due to many issues around, and have been sad. They've seen so many cases in school. So thank you for the great work you're doing. We all need to learn how we can really help. Agree.
Yeah. I'm going to get some books to Sharon. It's going to cost a lot of money, but we're going to do it.
Okay.
And absolutely, the healthy boundaries. The healthy boundaries are vital, absolutely vital as we get older and know what they are. You're able to
tag
set
me
them.
in on that. Tag me on that, Paulette.
Absolutely.
What's that? Tag you in on the books or the healthy boundaries, Michael?
On the books to Namin Kiere, to Sharon. Tag me in on that.
Okay, I'd love to. I'll work with you on that, Michael. Thank you.
Excellent. Okay. Michael, share with us. You are on stage, Michael. The mic is yours.
Are you kidding, Annie? Oh my gosh. Hi, Paulette. How are you doing? It's been such a long
Lovely.
time.
I'm fine, thank you. Well, I'm getting there. I'm not really 100%, but I'm back. I'm back.
Okay,
So like
I'll
that
have a package.
Halloween movie.
I'll have a package for you on Wednesday then. I'll keep up with you. Um, there's also all the others who are in the room. Hello, how you do? Annie as well. Hello, how do you do, sir? Nice to meet you yesterday. It was very, very enlightening, like you said. Um, most of what she had to say, I had already learned, but at the same time, it was so inspiring to hear her talk about the universe and how we are supposed to be aligning to it, and um, and also talk about our purpose, human purpose, which is something I just recently ran into. The universe spoke to me and said, "This is supposed to be our purpose." And um, just like Paulette is actually doing, pursuing her purpose in this life, after being the hatchet person, who she said she did not like doing that, but that was part of her work, and that's what she did. But she grew and she matured and she became who she is today, a very lovable, huggable person who every day you communicate with her, or you just feel inspired to just love the world, and not only just love the world, but love her even more, because she's teaching you how to love yourself and how to love your world. And she's doing it through
Well, absolutely.
children, communicating through, her power, which is bringing out the child in us and having us face that child front and center. And I really love that. That is innate, and it is something that everybody in the world should be able to recognize. And I so love it, Paulette. Thank you very much. I really appreciate what you're doing.
Thank you, Michael. And listen, if it helps even just one parent and one child, or one adult or one child, then it's worth the purpose of doing these rooms, because I really do think we can all learn from both
Well,
books as
just
a
know that
child and the
just
books
know
as
that
an
you're
adult.
helping me and my inner child. And I'm all
Wow.
for it. So I'm all smiles and I'm loving you for it. So I'm good. I'm
Well,
really
thank
good.
you. Thank you, my dear. You're a great supporter. And we'll talk about Uganda because I definitely want to help Sharon. Definitely.
Yeah.
Joni, let's go.
Joni.
Joni.
Hi guys. Hi. Oh, hi. Hi, my lovely. Oh, Paulette. Oh, sorry. Sorry, I'm wearing like a tube top. I don't want you guys to think I'm like naked here. So I don't know a little bit more from you, Paulette, about what you've been going through medically. If you're willing to share that with me at some point, because I have a lot of great resources here, and so you just interested, and I've gone through medical stuff too, and maybe we can align that. It sucks. It really sucks. And you still have a cute little scrunchie in your hair, and that is A plus. A plus. And I really enjoyed your share. And I have always enjoyed your friendship, and your compassion for just another human being out there who might be struggling, which is a lot of us. Apparently every kid in Uganda has anxiety, which I just want to like bundle them all into my arms and be like, oh, I love you. And that is definitely something that's important to me is children and animals, those who do not have as big of a voice as all of us do. Though the older I become, the more I know that other adults truly do have such struggle, mental struggle. I mean, I do. I go through it. I have a terrible ex-husband who has been trying to take my kids away, and it has literally wrecked me. And I like to share that with any other adult who's feeling stressed out because, gosh, being an adult is stressful. Like, where's the safety net? There is none. It's you. And so I think the safety net is in telling your stories and doing things that are right for you. And I don't know if like any other American, probably it's just an American show, but American women out there know about Ginny and Georgia. Like it's like a Netflix like drama. I mean, it's like a teen show. Anyways, my daughter and I were in therapy the other day, and she's like, Mom, she's like, sometimes you just remind me just of Georgia. She not like the whole Georgia's kind of a con artist and criminal. She's like, not that part, but you take up all the air in the room, and sometimes there's no room for me to breathe. And she's like, you just have this presence where you can talk to anyone, and it makes me feel small. And I got it. I got it. Because my other daughter, I at one point said, how do you talk to everyone? How do you do that? How do you just stop and talk to anyone? And like, I guess because it's just my personality. And also it's because I know I would like someone to stop and talk to me. And it's so lonely being a grown up sometimes because it's hard because you're it. Especially when you're a single parent or a single person or just a just an adult in a bad relationship. I don't know. So that I really did resonate with me. So that's just like a little story I have. And I'm working on that to allow my kids to shine and get through my own personal struggles. But I'm just happy to see my friend, and I could tell a joke, but I'm not gonna do that actually right now. It doesn't seem appropriate. Actually, you know what I'm
I'd
gonna
love to ask a question, Joni. Can I ask you a question?
Oh,
When you're in therapy with your daughters,
yeah.
or daughter, I don't know whether it's all, but
I
let's say
I go to
daughter.
therapy with both, and my son probably should be in
Okay.
therapy too, but he just wants to hold my hand every time he's around me. It's just he's the most amazing little boy.
So let's just take your daughters, for example. Every teenage child, every young female goes through a time where they become competitive with their female counterpart, their mother, right?
Yeah. Yes.
And it's not seen as a big negative thing that it might at first seem, but I've studied it, and they talk about, like when they steal your mascara and they steal your clothes, and it's because they're trying to emulate you.
Yeah. They do that.
About it, it's the biggest compliment in the world is that they want to be like you, right? So just take that. You're talking to anybody, having the heart to speak to everybody, having the heart to embrace everybody is something that they would like to emulate, but they don't know how yet. They've not got the skills or the age, ability, and the experience of life to do it. But they will do, because they will be their mum's child and they will do exactly what you do. And that's a wonderful thing. So when they're saying what they're saying, understand they just don't get it, because they're not got, it's like, an artist starting off painting something and going, well, why doesn't it look like a Van Gogh? Well, the answer is because you haven't got the skills to become a Van Gogh yet, right? When you're a Van Gogh, you can be Van Gogh, but you're not a Van Gogh right now. Okay, well, that's the same principle with a child. Okay, see it in the same way. You are making a Van Gogh, but it's going to take time.
Oh,
All right.
jeez. Yes.
Makes
No,
sense?
thank you for that. Absolutely. Yeah, I actually told my own mother, when I was just trying to process, some of the stress my kids have had to go through, like with, basically being from a two-parent household for so long and not having their parents get along exactly, and not exactly, not at all. And so I was like, you know what? In high school and like later junior high, like I really don't think I thought about you guys that much and your feelings. Like I was really focused on me and my friends and the clothes I was wearing and the boys I liked. And my mom reminds me of that now a lot. She's like, just remember, like that's what they're focusing on, to be kids. And I resonate with that too. Like I get it. Like my daughter has her first serious boyfriend, and she lets me in on like little things that make me like, oh, so happy that she's letting me in. She's like asked me about my first prom, or the first time when did I have my first kiss or something like that. And I'm just like, yay, we're connecting. So, anyways, to everyone out there who, cares about Paulette, that's a good person to care about. So, XO to you. Mwah. That's what the kids do. Okay, next.
Go on, Paulette. You're the hostess, Paulette. I'm the host. Okay. I must.
I was just
Jane.
going to say thank you to Joni. That was all, just because she's a very, very special person. And, you've been through that hell and back. And I'll always be there to hold your hand. So if ever you need me, you've got my call. You just give me a shout and we talk. And that's what it's all about. And not all therapists work the same, and not all therapists say the same thing, but it's all around the same area of
Yeah,
training.
you pinky promise? Pinky promise?
Okay, pinky promise.
Okay.
So Michelle says, sorry, no, so sorry, Joni, to hear about your struggles. And Sharon Rose says, Joni, all those emojis. I'm scared of emojis now, right? So no, it's how a lot of parents and kids are. Yes, there comes a moment of conflict or apparent conflict, but as you say, Paul, it's more emulating. It's more, it's almost like a worship from the kids. It's adulation more than more than conflict, really. So we have to take it for what it is.
Annie, if you have a moment, I'd like to say a word.
Go for it.
All right. There was something that Eddie did the other day, which was very sweet and very nice. He says that he's not a nice person, but he is an incredibly nice person.
I'm a lovely person. I'm always lovely, because
Huh.
that's the better side of me, right? Go on,
Yeah,
carry on,
I know.
please.
But this really touched my heart, and he helped me out with my sister because she was doing she's trying to help some Ugandan uh, the the mental cap- the mental aspect of what's actually going on with the kids in Uganda, and she's gone ahead and put up a GoFundMe page, and Annie contributed as well, and by the way, Annie Petwa says a real huggable thank you for helping her out. I don't know if you got that message, but I'm just relaying it right now and making sure that you understand that you mean the world to us. And thank you very much for helping us and help go further in that particular, what do you call it, project that we're trying to get up on the road and run and going. Certainly, um, if she has indicated that if you give her time to come in or get with her, make a schedule, um, to come and talk with you and also interview with you, she would love to do that. It's just a matter of her coming out and do it because she's got a number of things going on. So, but she's open to it and she's open to scheduling with you and giving you the time and the space to join one of your live talks and introducing her and she introducing herself, etc., etc. However you want to do it, she's on board. So FYI. Back to you, Annie, the host.
Annie,
I'm,
you know what? I'm gonna find a baby T-shirt for you as an emoji. I'm gonna send it to you.
I'm worried.
Promise I am not letting that one go. Okay,
I'm worried. A baby T-shirt, honestly.
baby T.
Yeah, thanks. Look, so Sharon Rose says my girls are telling me to watch that program too, Joni. What's the program called?
Ginny and Georgia. It's like a teen show. It's like I don't know, yeah, akin to like Dawson's Creek or something. But like the mom is a single mom. There's a lot of drama. It's pretty radical, but the mom is really she has a lot of charisma, and her daughter does think that she overpowers her sometimes. So Ginny and Georgia, it's just I'm not recommending this on a literary term.
Yeah, that's not. It's fine. At least you're not the only ones whose kids have said that you suck the air out of this space. Sharon Rose is saying this. Her kids say the same thing as well. Um, Sharon goes on to say, Charm and Grace, darling. Respects, Joe. Yes, Joe. You know, everyone appreciates your addition to our conversation, Joe. So, Aaron welcomes. I never agreed to do adulting, but you ain't got much choice, have you, Aaron? No, we're kind of adults, right? See, I looked at adulthood as always going to be a misery, but I was wrong. I'm glad to say I was wrong. It's better. It's much better than I ever thought it would be. I have to say, right? It's you can make it fun. I think you can be. As Michael was saying, I said that the masterclass we went to last night is about being intentional in designing your life, and we really can make our lives that simple if we bother. Baby T, hashtag yes, Journey, quite. Yes, Sharon Rose, don't encourage her. Don't encourage her. I don't know if baby T-shirt. Do I? I don't know. I don't know.
Well,
Michelle,
your sister from another mister, just like you're a brother from another mother. All right.
yeah, that's all right. You send your baby T-shirt. Let me see what it looks like. Michelle says I draw amazing stick people. So do I, Michelle. I can draw them in. No, I can't really. You're probably better than me at drawing stick people. Yeah, I'm not very artistic. Thank goodness for Canva and ChatGPT. They help me create magic and look good online. Jay, are you ready to talk to us, my friend? I think you're gonna close us out today.
Yeah, hi, everyone. Paula, thank you for having me. Um, I'm really loving this conversation. And I like this question that's the main thing of the loop is what makes children worry and how can we support them better. Um, so I think there are two main things that come to mind when I think of anxiety. I think of words like anxious, nervous, worrisome. Those are three words that come to mind. And I think there are two things that could make children anxious. And this is not just, children with, you know, who are normal. I think this is also kids who have, uh, um, disabilities. Because the thing is I'm someone that is an advocate of disabilities. I have been disabled since birth, and one of the things that I have one of the things that we think about is accessibility and having the right tools to be able to have access um, to certain things. And I think that's one thing that can make kids anxious is, not having the access to certain tools. And also, as far as in the normal circumstance, I think the one thing that can make kids anxious is, not being able to have that required education. Right now, education is one of the most important. Education is like one of the most important things that you need to succeed in order to attend a good college, go to get a good job, you know, be able to have a great future. But right now, what's happening is that the education system is online, and then kids wonder like, how will I go to school? What will I do? I mean, that's something that kids I think would have to be anxious about, and that's something they have to worry about and think about. So I think the best way to support the kids is to group conversations and parent and teacher conversations. I think those are the best ways to support them. Maybe have a few group sessions. Maybe I think that's my input. But thank you for letting me come up on stage.
I would say, Jay, 100%. And my husband used to teach maths at a very senior level at a huge comprehensive. And one of the lads had cerebral palsy. and he was obviously had it from birth, and he was in a wheelchair, and I was poorly for a change, and he came to the house, and we explained that I've got disability, so we've got the wheelchair access toilet, so he would be okay to come to the house and have his lesson here, as opposed to Charles go to him, because I couldn't be left on my own at the time. And we facilitated that fine. Now, my husband could understand every word he said, and I was struggling, Jay. I was desperate to hear. And gradually, after about 20 minutes of hearing him talking to Charles, and like not earwigging, but kind of earwigging, just like listening to what they were saying about the maths and stuff, I started to get my ear into his way of speech. And then when I went in, I said, "Do you like cake?" And he said, "Yes." And I said, "Do you like lemon drizzle cake?" And he said, "Oh, I love it." So I said, "Fine." I said, "I can make some batter up, but Charles will have to put it in the oven, and Charles will have to take it out because I can't bend to get in the oven at the minute." And he was laughing, and he was saying, "What's your problem?" And I explained, and he was like, "It's the same with me. It's just nerves, just different, but the same." And we were just talking about our injuries and what my injuries, but what he was born with. And I was thinking to myself, when he's at school, it was completely normalized. He went right through senior school from the age of 11 to 18. He then went on to do maths at Loughborough, and he took 4 years to do his degree instead of 3, but that's all. And then he was going on to do his master's as well in maths. So we're talking about a really high functioning lad who had somebody with him the whole time. They had a room, he had a bedroom and like an area where he studied, and then he had a separate bathroom, and then there was another room where his carer would be in the other room. And for universities in the UK to facilitate that is fantastic. For the fact that he went through school with a care person with him, some assistant of some kind, either a teaching assistant or if it was toiletry stuff, it was the carer would be involved. But generally speaking, he had a TA with him who would be a TA that would help with that particular subject matter, because otherwise it could be above the TA's head, if you like, if they were doing math, which is like hires, if you like.
Is it my internet or Paulette's internet? I'm still moving.
I think we lost Paulette.
Yeah, we lost Paulette's connection.
Give
And
every single
you're back.
child. Did I go somewhere?
Yeah, you're
I'm
froze.
sorry. I wasn't aware that I did. I don't know where I went, but I'm back. But the point I'm making is that every single child deserves the same opportunities. And I understand there are always complications and there's always financial arguments. We have lots of them at the moment in the UK. Our SEND, our SEN special education needs is we're about 900 million short. So, I mean, there's a huge, big black hole looming where kids are struggling to get their IEPs managed. But believe you me, it's not being unnoticed. There are parent groups all over the country making sure that what they would be missing out on, they're not, because other people are stepping up. Parents who used to be teachers and things like that. There are groups that have been set up to make sure that the kids don't fall behind. So, as much as I want to say to you, in the UK, we're working extremely hard to meet those needs. Education has to be a start for everybody. and that's everybody in every country. Every country in the world, every child deserves education. That I don't care about their disability. I don't care about whether or not they are they're blind, deaf, or whether it's physical disabilities, whether it's something like cerebral palsy. Every child deserves to have education. And just like, you know, the young lad that oh gosh, I've forgotten his name. It was a minute ago. Come back. But the lad that Charles. What was the name of the lad with cerebral palsy? Jabe. Jabe was absolutely the most amazing, and he loved cake, which always goes down well. But the point I'm making is, yes, education for all. I'm a great advocate of that. And Jay, I would suggest that if you feel the same way and you are petitioning and making sure that your voice is heard at every opportunity, that's the way forward, because that's the only way we did it in the UK. We had non-verbal children who've got autism, who've now got these boxes, speech boxes, and they're able to communicate. And it's taken so much frustration out of their day and out of their life. And now they're trying to actually say the words. And we've now got them working on saying the words on their talkers. So things that we were told was impossible suddenly become the possible, but you don't know until you try. So I think 100% we're all in agreement on what we have to do is petition and petition and petition so that every child has that opportunity. And that goes throughout the land. Every little girl deserves to be educated. Every little boy deserves to be educated, and every disabled person deserves to be educated. End of story. Would you like to come back on that one, Jay?
No, I think Paulette, that was a very good feedback to my comment, and I think you're right that everyone deserves to have a an education. Doesn't matter when you're if you're disabled or not. Everyone deserves to have a good education. A successful education. I mean, um, I'm telling you, like when I went to school, you know, uh, when I went to school, one thing that made me anxious was like making friends. And then as I grew and went to college and started working, you know, got and when I got the experience, I would I didn't have that anxiety because people got to know me as a person. They didn't see me because I'm handicapped. They saw me as someone who has the confidence, who has the strength to overcome uh my overcome my handicapness. And I think that's another thing. You know, kids are afraid that, oh, if when I go to school, I might not be taken seriously, but that's not always the case. You can overcome that anxiety. And and I think you what you said, Paula, about education, exactly right, exactly right.
And something else, Jay, I'm going to say, and I'm going to put you on the spot here, so please be ready for it. How about this? As a part of your advocacy, that you speak to schools, you take yourself into schools, into assemblies, and you say, I deserved education. I got the education I needed. And because of that, I am now doing this, this, and this. And every single child, regardless of disability, deserves it. And any child that's sitting in that audience who has a disability can come and talk to you afterwards and speak to you about how they feel. And, I can speak to them about my disabilities, but my disabilities came on later on in life when I broke my back, basically. But the biggest issues that you can talk to them about is growing up with a disability, that you can connect with them on a level that I can't. I can talk about the pain and the things I go through now, but I can't talk about what it was like to be a child in that position. You can. And that's something to just think about, not to put you too much on the spot there, but just think about doing something like that locally. And you never know, it might lead to something much bigger, because I think that the stage needs somebody like you who can get through to those kiddies that are just thinking, what if I don't make friends? What if nobody will talk to me because I'm in a wheelchair? What if I go to school and I'm on my own? So just bear that in mind, yeah?
I will. I'll take your word for it.
And Jay, just a quick question for you. If you are looking back at yourself when, let's say you were 16 years old, uh, what advice would you give yourself?
Uh, I'm sorry, Johnny. You broke up for a minute. It's nice to meet you, by the way.
Oh, nice to meet you. So what advice would you give your younger self at 16? Yeah, what would you tell yourself?
Hmm.
Like,
That that
ease
that
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 anxiety.
that that's a good question. I'm actually 33. Uh, if you can, if you if you look at me, I'm actually 33. But people say, "Man, you look way younger," and I say, "Nah, 91, 1991." Um, well, I think the one thing I would tell my younger self is, um, I wish I wish I would have, if like, you know, I started getting involved in disability networking in 2016, and I wish that, you know, I wish that I was more involved in this much, disability, even before 2016. My parents actually, when my parents found out about this syndrome, they also got to learn about another, other families who have kids who have the exact same syndrome as I do. You know, whether they have a tracheostomy or not. They got to know couple families, and as a young child, I didn't know what how I would advocate, because again, I was just so young. I didn't know anything about advocacy. You know, um, and I wish when I was in, like, maybe, I don't know, I say maybe in elementary school, or maybe in preschool, or maybe even a couple years after that. I wish I wish I was more involved in advocacy. I wish I was more, you know involved in advocating for uh this particular syndrome. But again, I didn't know anything at the time. But as I grew, I started to meet more families who have this who have kids with disabilities, and maybe the parents themselves. And I started to get to know them, to know their story, know what successes and failures they had. Whether it's family or finance or what have you. Okay, and that's what I would tell my younger self is, I wish, Jay, that you knew about this advocacy before 2016. But that's what I would say, Johnny. But that was a tough one. I'll 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 take your word for that one.
No, that's
Jay, I've
wonderful.
got a question as well now.
And also,
If
where do
if
you live, Jay?
so let's
Where
say
do you
this,
live?
Jay,
I'll
okay?
come up with some programs.
Go ahead, Paula.
If there had been, sorry, Jay, if there had been a person who came into your school in a wheelchair, yeah,
Uh-huh.
and who was, if there was a person who came into your school in a wheelchair and had various disabilities, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you had seen them, and then they said afterwards, please, anybody come and talk to me, and I'll try and answer your questions. Do you think that could have changed your school experience?
That's a good question. Um, that's actually a tough one, Paula, because I have I have met people in a wheelchair, but like, not like ones who are like have cerebral palsy, but I've seen people in wheelchair. Um, but if I met someone in a wheelchair and they have various issues, with their body, I would rather, and please don't take this um as a negative thing, but I would probably talk to maybe a person that is accompanying the person with the wheelchair and ask them the questions, because they would probably understand uh what I'm asking. Um Whereas the person in the wheelchair, for me it may be unclear as to what they're telling me.
Absolutely. And if the carer can answer those questions clearly, they will help you understand what you
Ex-
would expect from a carer if you had a
exactly.
carer.
And
So
exactly. And
that
that's
is
and
a
that
very that is a really important message, that maybe the advocacy isn't at schools, it's with the carers. Maybe the advocacy comes from you talking to the carers so that they are
exactly.
educated to understand the needs of various people.
Exactly. I agree.
That is definitely
Um
something worth it looking into, and I would recommend that you speak to the local, whoever your local state is, what the particular department that handle that is, and just ask for half an hour of their time, and just go in there and just talk to them and just tell them what kids need, and you'll be surprised at the you'll receive back, because people don't know what they don't know.
exactly.
Excellent. I think that's something to really think about, and if you get the opportunity, reach out to me and we could come up with a plan, or go
Sure.
it
Well,
alone, but definitely don't not do something, because you've got some experience there that could help many a carer.
thank you.
Thank you very much indeed for coming on stage. I appreciate you. Thank you.
Interesting conversation. So our time has gone. I'm burning my candles. My next event's at risk already. But what can I do, right?
Sorry, Annie.
I'm trying to see where we go, where I go next. So Sharon Rose says we're partners in crime. Let's brand it. And GITA is a company, right? We talk. I think that's to all of you on stage. I think so. Connect with Sharon Rose, and let's see what we can do together to help children, right? As Aaron says, being bullied mercilessly daily plus online is too much for kids these days. That definitely causes kids a worry. I agree with you on that one.
100%. 100%.
So Sharon Rose says she calls it being differently abled. There's so many different words, right? Unique, unique abilities, differently abled. There's many more, right? So neurodivergent is another one.
Well, ND covers almost everything these days, so it's a very difficult one, that one.
It is. Sharon Rose, I love your comments. So, truth, my daughter was in a wheelchair with a thigh-high cast at a new school for kindergarten and separated from her twin sister. Older school, there were stairs, no elevators. Just getting to the restroom was a challenge for making new friends. You could feel the judgment, and her sister wasn't there by her side. And they just learned about divorce. Cool. How many different things are there on there, Sharon Rose? And hopefully, your kids have survived. I believe they have, right? And grown into adulthood. So, and I guess kids they can be quite resilient. Of course, there's much we can do to help, right?
That was Michelle saying education for all, absolutely.
Yeah, I saw that too.
I love that. Impossible is just an opinion. I believe that 100%. And I also mean no. I also mean no, not in a sexual way, but the only time no means no is when someone's saying you can't have something. That just means, well, let's discuss it. So when someone says you can't have a TA or you can't have this or you can't have that, it means let's have a discussion. And that's where we must always start from. Never just accepting.
Are you going, Joni? Bye, Joni.
Bye, Joni.
Bye, Joni.
Annie's going too. We're all going. Should we say goodbye, Annie?
No, we can't say goodbye yet because I don't like to ignore people's comments.
Oh, don't ignore anybody. Sorry.
Paulette, impossible is just an opinion. I think, remember Paul used to say, I am possible. It's not impossible.
I am possible.
So that's like you say, it's just, it's a word, right? So I like Aaron's point. For education to take, healthcare must be universal and free. Yeah, it helps. It certainly helps. In the UK, so we have that. In the US, you got a different set of problems, right? But I think healthcare. I mean, here our problem is social care. Same thing, right? So we struggle with social care to support people who need support beyond health, beyond their disability. In this.
When I was in hospital, when I was in hospital, the reason I couldn't come home, I had to come home, was because they're bed blocked, because there's no social care. The old people that need to have social care couldn't go home because there wasn't the carers. So every bed was taken in every hospital in a 25-mile radius.
Which is it's hard for everyone, right?
Major problem.
We need to sort social care out. I guess that's it's all in all communities, not just.
We need to change it from being a demeaning job to a job with value that we care about, and that these people are seen that they're valued, not just a job for people that come in.
Paulette.
Yes. Yeah.
I just saw the comment from Sharon, and she said hashtag superpowers. Oh my gosh! Now she's making me bring up my Marvel side. Oh my gosh! Sharon. I see your comment there. Oh my gosh! She's putting me on the spot.
Well, Jay, connect with her and let's see what we can create, right?
All right.
In the comments for sure, and you never
know. We have the power.
We
have the power and the people, Jay.
Everything is possible. And Michelle says, "I'll tell my younger self, look, we made it. Come on, let's go on an adventure."
Yes, Michelle.
Yes. Let's make it Mission Impossible, guys.
Let's do it.
I love it. Love it.
Awareness and community is what we need. Sharon Kennedy, thanks for joining us. It's a really interesting session. I hadn't known about until the last minute, but we're happy to join others. I have to head to another meeting. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Sharon.
Go so let's connect, right? And a couple more, Paulette. So Sharon Rose says it's not a one size fits all. Each differently able person on their own journey, and definitely everyone's on their own journey. Sharon Rose, that's the truth, right? And I see Andrew. I don't know if we met before. Andrew, thanks for joining us. A good day, everyone, and everything. Thank you so much for joining us, Paulette. Thank you. You've done a lot longer than we thought today. But my next room is African Business Talks. If that interests you, then send me a DM. I'll send you an invite. Do join. So we're going to talk
I'm
about.
going to go and have 50.
Go on,
I'm
go
going to
on,
have
Paulette.
40 winks. Otherwise, I won't be there
You
for
can. Yeah, no,
my
you can have a
little
nap.
Lisa's room.
I mean,
I'm going to
got
have a
4
nap because I've worked hard.
you got 4 hours to nap, so it's all right. You got 4 hours to have your little rest. Now,
Thank you, everyone, for supporting me.
Let me show Jack and Water video before we go, just to remind people
Oh,
what
lovely.
we're here.
Okay.
So here goes. Thank you so much, everyone. I'm sure we're back here again in 2 weeks' time. But next week we've got Paulette's mental work. Well, so thanks, Jay. Thank you so much for joining us, Jay. You take care. Thank you so much.
Take care.
So bye, everyone. Bye, everyone.
Toodaloo.